Going to get started in a moment. Alright, the sound levels seems alright. That's normal. Okay, gonna get started. Oh, did RetroArch freeze? I think it froze. Hold on. Technical difficulties. One moment. Okay, let's try this. Alright, so, getting into it. We are going to look at the games that came out for the Sega Saturn in January of 1996. Starting with a game that I had never heard of before. Wing Arms. This is a flight combat game where you can use a variety of World War II era fighter planes to do a new fictional story that will be explained. But for now, let's just watch Pearl Harbor 2.0, I guess. Famously, in the actual Pearl Harbor attack, the Japanese dive bombers did not go after the fuel farms in Honolulu. Which, I mean, you know, they probably should have if they wanted to win anything, but they didn't, and that was very fortunate for the U.S. But what we saw there wasn't Pearl Harbor, it was Pearl Harbor 2, the sequel. So yeah, if you recognized or thought you recognized any of those planes, only one of those was historically capable of taking off from an aircraft carrier. So we already know this is going to be fun. Let me adjust the sound here a little bit. Alright, so might as well just dive right into it. So we have a variety of planes that we can use. Some of which I recognize. You know, the most immediate is the F6F here. We have an experimental rocket interceptor. Very silly. We have a Spitfire and a Oh, I know. This is a Mustang, and then a Spitfire, then a Lightning, then whatever the hell Messerschmitt this is. Guess it's their jet plane, and then a Zero. So the Axis and the Allies have teamed up. They're on not the USS Enterprise, fighting some unnamed foe. Anyway, I like the F-6F, so I'm going to choose that one.
Welcome to the Endeavor. The name is Gordon. I'm your captain. Listen up and listen good. There's no room for error. All right, here's what we know. A military force calling itself Avalon declared war 5 days ago. They launched a surprise attack on our Allied task force as it lay in anchor and destroyed it. They've invaded the Pacific Resource Belt. You must stop them, and you will. If they take over the resource belt, the way is clear for them to take over the world. Objective: neutralize the Avalon force and destroy their main fleet. Operations begin at 0800. All hands prepare for battle. Dismissed.
So none of that is how anything has ever worked for any reason, in case you couldn't tell. And we go straight into the first mission. There are 6 missions here.
Your orders?
This first one is a bit straightforward.
200 clicks to the northeast. Intercept and destroy
we have
them.
different camera angles here. B button is shoot. C button is speed up. A button is slow down. You don't have full throttle control, like in air combat, but this works for what it is. So just getting rid of those guys. Also, the main gun overheats, so that's something to, I guess, add some stuff here. There's a map. It's not useful on the first level, but it's useful on later levels. You have dumb rockets, which they're really only good against ground targets, and you have a very limited number of those. See, I was going to fly behind these idiots. This is the beginning of the first mission. It's not going to be, overly taxing here. And we see that we are 27% of the way done with this mission, that's a helpful little counter to have. And yeah, notice how those guys just spawn in. This isn't. This is a, let's say, arcade style fight combat game, but it's not an arcade game. This was, developed for the Saturn. This is an original in-house Sega development. Why it's not called, I don't know, virtual plane or something like that. I don't know. I mean, this isn't a bad game. This is fine. It looks fine enough. It plays well enough. Go to the third-person perspective here. Our plane looks good. We're also missing some of the information, such as the speedometer and the aiming reticle, which that does get important. Have all the information you can in the later levels. But for now, we can just be like this, and it's fine. And the planes do eventually start shooting back. Though enemy planes are never the most dangerous enemies in this game. Those are going to be the ground targets that fire off all the anti-air at you. And you can see our green health bar in the corner. That doesn't refill. That's what you have for the whole mission. So that alarm happens whenever an enemy plane gets into the area behind our plane. You see on the little radar mini-map there, you have the blue area, which is where we're seeing, and the red area, which is directly behind us. So let's let this guy get into our red area. We go into like the dodging mechanic here, which is a neat little thing. All right, it goes into like a second-person view as we try to evade our pursuer. And that's kind of the only dogfight mechanic there is. Speak of. You know, so either you go and shoot them, or they get behind you and you have to dodge them shooting at you. The plane-to-plane stuff is fairly straightforward here. So let's see if we can get through this mission. And yeah, in the levels that get busy, that alarm is going to go off all the time. But again, that's only like 1 or 2 levels where that happens. Behind this guy. Yeah, so like aiming is hard in third person. Also, I don't know why you do this. So let's just go back to the cockpit view and actually finish this. Alright, one more wave of idiots to kill. For me, the strangest thing is when trying to look up this game, there isn't a lot about it. Like, I mean, I never heard of it before now. You know, it didn't exactly have any sequels. I don't think that many people bought it. It's not, you know, it's not well remembered. It reviewed decently, but it just kind of didn't make any kind of splash in anything. Which is odd, because this game's fine. This is a perfectly fine video game. Maybe everyone just rented it?
All enemy aircraft destroyed. Mission accomplished.
Oh, also you do barrel rolls with the shoulder buttons. In case you're not motion sick by this point. So now for the second type of gameplay, which is attacking ground targets. The game goes back and forth between these two types of gameplay.
We've learned that the air group was on its way to an Avalon supply base 50 clicks southeast. Your new mission, destroy that base. Over.
So yeah, the game does a good job generally of switching up between the dogfighting and ground attack gameplay. It'll go back and forth several times. You know, which is thoughtful. That's well thought out. And as you can see for this mission, our job is to blow up this oil rig looking thing in the middle of this kind of desolate naval base looking area. And there's like 4 or 5 of these bases in the game you have to shoot. Like you spend a lot of time doing, you know, strafing passes on these damn things. So yeah, I guess the strategy here is to speed out, turn around, fly in, dump everything you can into it, and then speed out again. And you just do passes on it until it's dead. I'm like a third of the way to killing it. There's also some random anti-air guns here for you to play around with, but you know, you don't have a ton of health, and it's not really worth it. You can dodge them if you're fast enough. At this point, it looks like I'm mainly hitting the air defenses on the base, and those can be destroyed separately to make it a bit easier for yourself. But also, it takes more time, more missiles, more passes, more chances to get hit. And as far as the altitude goes, you can climb up to about 1,000 feet. You never need to go that high. Or I can say 100 feet. Close enough. But this is still like a decent amount of space for the game to give you to fly around in. I don't seem to be doing much damage to it. That's odd. And the levels do get bigger. So this level, there's this base, and then there's an aircraft carrier you have to kill. Next level, you're floating around in a canyon before going and having to kill 2 of these bases in a desert. Level after that, there's an airship that launches fighter interceptors at you constantly. That's night level. It's a real big pain in the butt to deal with. This thing should be mostly dead. It's on fire. The 5th level, you have to defend your home carrier. Yeah, so that's more dogfighting, like higher level dogfighting, and then shooting a bunch of destroyers. And then the final level, there's one more base, and then you have to kill the Yamato, or something that's similar to the Yamato. They use the designs of various IJN ships from World War II, but they don't use the names because, of course, you know, the plot here is that this isn't, you know, Japan we're fighting. This is some weird international conglomeration of supervillains or what have you, who just happen to have some aircraft carriers and super battleships and airships flying around. So they're able to make this slightly more absurd than air combat, somehow, because air combat's premise is already very silly. So doing something dumber than that is a real accomplishment, if you ask me. And it really is best to not interrogate that too closely. I think we've killed enough of this thing to where we don't have to go full speed in here. But I do keep running into it, which isn't an instant death, which is, you know, real nice and friendly of them. Yeah, these bases are kind of annoying to deal with, and it's a real shame that you spend like half of the gameplay time, you know, fighting these things. You know, and the hitboxes for where you get damage are weird as well. So yeah, it's kind of a shame that an otherwise, you know, very decent game would spend most of the time on this nonsense. And there we go. So we're halfway done with the level. That base is destroyed, and then we have to deal with the with not the Shokaku. This is absolutely not the aircraft carrier Shokaku. It just looks exactly the same. Maybe it's the Suikaku. Who knows? Yeah, so this is fun. Flying into a hail of anti-air is always fun in video games. Don't care who you are. And it's how you deal with all the ships here. You just line up a run, try to dodge the anti-air, get close enough to hit it, fire off your missiles, maybe hit it, maybe not hit it, but then you speed away, turn around, repeat. And it's engaging enough, it's fun enough for what it is. So we're almost done here with this game. You know what they say, a stern chase is a long chase. But there we go. And the ship despawned before the anti-air guns despawned.
Great job, Captain. Mission completed. Roger.
So yeah, that's like the first third of Wing Arms. It's fine. It's like an hour, hour and a half long. I recommend it. It's fun enough for a 95-96 game. So we will move on now to the next game we have to deal with. NFL Quarterback Club 96. This is the second in Acclaim's football series. And it's a up-ported version of the game they released for the Super Nintendo and Genesis in '95. Developed by our old friends at Iguana Entertainment, the same guys who handled all the ports for NBA Jam. I guess this 3D intro was made for this version specifically. But yeah, it's football. It's extreme. It's football. Yeah. Man stuff. I don't know. I also one of the worst title screens I have ever seen in my life. Just look at this shit. Put up or shut up. With the logo on fire, whatever the hell that dude's supposed to be in the corner, and then their mid-90s polygonal models off to the side. Just... yeah, there's some real, fucked energy going on there. So, there's two modes, play or simulation. Simulation, you watch two teams play each other. Play, you play the game. When you play the game, there's preseason, which is just single game, and then there's a season mode, and the playoff mode, Pro Bowl, yada yada. Let's just do a preseason game here. Oh, that's actually the back button. So yeah, pro tip for this game. B is select and C is back. Don't question it, I guess. So, let's see here. Who are the worst team? Oh, the Saints are doing pretty bad. The Panthers. Oh, the Lions. Okay, let's go against the Lions. Who's good? The Packers are good. Raiders are good. Who won the Super Bowl that year? Ah, the 49ers look good. So let's try to stack the deck for ourselves. We get to choose our quarterbacks. This guy looks good. Elway. Oh, this guy's the worst one. Alright, so let's do this. Make it as unfair as possible. And then it's like a 12-player game? I don't understand this part. So let's just continue past it, why don't we? So, I am going to embarrass myself attempting to play this game. Because I don't play football games. I don't watch football games usually. I don't play football. I'm not really up on this. So just getting a hang for the controls, the gameplay.
Lions, call it in the air. It's heads.
You know, the way it all works.
Lions,
I barely know how to
will you
pass.
kick or receive? Lions will receive. 49ers, which goal will you defend?
South. Well, I don't know.
49ers
Why not?
will defend the south goal.
It is wild to think that the NFL would just give licensing rights to whoever back in the 90s. You know, you had Madden, of course. You had this. You had, you know, Sony stuff, NFL Game Day. So what am I doing? What am I doing? Let's do Squib Kick. I like the name of that. Flip play, start play. Whatever. I don't know. So yeah, no idea what I'm doing here. Alright, so that's where the ball is. I'm now up here. Let's nickel and dime them, boys. How about that? Let's do short. Old dog close robber. Man, football's weird. So I'm on the defense here. So I'm just going to try to run into whoever has the ball. That's my plan. I don't know where my guy is. Oh, well, that happened. This is immediately frustrating for me. There's no good way to, like, learn how to play this without just, I don't know, looking it up or something. Either way, this sucks. Well, that worked last time. Why not do it again? And I'm going to encounter a lot of football games. Oh, over the course of doing this series. So I'm going to have to, you know, figure it out eventually. Maybe. But for the moment, no idea what I'm doing. And you know, this is all sprite-based, which is, I don't know, kind of cheating for a 5th-gen console. So I guess we got them pretty good there, and now we're turning it over. What do I want to do? Let's do a shotgun short. Oh, what the? I don't. Let's do a shovel. No huddle. Why not? So I press a button to pass. And I'm supposed to, like, pass it to a guy when the like button letter is green over the guy's head. But I just got intercepted, so now I'm back on defense. I don't know. You know, there's very little time to react to anything while trying to pass. I think I successfully passed once while playing this, which is better than NFL Game Day. I didn't even pass anything playing that game. So maybe after going through a dozen of these, I'll know what I'm doing. Who knows? Oh, that was fortunate.
Incomplete.
So I guess this game had the good fortune of making its way onto the Saturn before any other football video game franchise could. So they kind of owned this market for a few months in '96. And of course, NFL Game Day would come out on the Saturn and PlayStation up until, like, I don't know, the year 2000 or something. Sorry, I meant Quarterback Club. I get these things mixed up. So I'm just going to take this and run with it. I don't know. They still gained yards, so that's no good. But I have the ball now? Let's do a pro set. Short? Oh, hell. How about hookouts? Start play? I don't know what any of this means. But I can't do this forever. Let me throw! Let me throw! Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. This kind of sucks. I mean, it was probably fine if you knew how to play these games back in the mid-90s. You know, compared to all of the football games on the Super Nintendo or Genesis. This is probably pretty good. Oh, okay, I'm supposed to run there. Whoops. So yeah, this is a bad time. I mean, this game reviewed well enough back in the day. You know, this was a viable competitor for Madden at the time. I was supposed to run with it. Supposed to run with it. That went badly. Oh, hey, all of a sudden made some yards. Look at that. I got some yards. Oh, but that wasn't enough to reset the downs. So back on defense again. So yeah, I don't have fun with this. I'm not into it. There's no reason to go back to it because there were a billion football games like this at the time. So yeah, that's that for NFL Quarterback Club 96. Now we get to move on to a really bad time, a surprisingly bad time, which is Mortal Kombat 2, the Saturn version of Mortal Kombat 2. Which, this is an odd one. Also, it's Probe, so Probe's going to do what Probe does, which is make my life miserable. But first, I guess let's get the arcade opening here. 500 years ago, Shang Tsung was banished to the Earth Realm with the aid of Goro. He was unable... Oh, never mind. By seizing control of the Shaolin tournament, he tried to tip the scales of order towards chaos. Only 7 warriors survived the battles. Oh, never mind. Facing execution for his failure and the apparent death of Goro, Tsung convinces Shao Kahn to grant him a second chance. Shang Tsung's new plan is to lure his enemies to compete in the Outworld, where they will meet certain death by Shao Kahn. Oh, never mind. So yeah, that's the arcade intro. It goes fast because it's supposed to loop repeatedly until you play it. Yeah, this is the 1993 classic, Mortal Kombat 2, on your Sega Saturn. Mind you, this is January 96, a full 3 months after Mortal Kombat 3 came out for the PlayStation. So this is not a good look. Also, this game is not supposed to be done in single player. This is a bit nasty. So let's see here. Block is B and Y. B and Y. Okay, B and Y. High punch is X. Low punch is A. High kick, low kick. Alright, so let's do that. Let's finish and start. So the thing about the single player Mortal Kombat 2 is, unless you're like good at the game, it's basically impossible, even on easy. I don't think the difficulty settings do anything, if you ask me. But yeah, it's the ladder, right? You fight up the ladder, or you die. That's it. It's a bit quiet.
Fight.
You see, and yeah, I'm playing on very easy, and this AI is hyper aggressive. And you know, I haven't really put any time in Mortal Kombat 2 in my life. You know, and this is very humiliating for me. You know, the game will humiliate you.
Fatality.
Well, at least you get to see the fatalities. Right? That's probably why the AI does it to you all the time. But I'm not going to get anywhere with this unless I plug in a second controller and then just practice on that, or have someone to play with. Actually, how about just having someone to play with? You know, playing with another person, multiplayer. You know, having friends. What's it like to have friends? Who knows? Because I'm playing Mortal Kombat 2 single player and getting obliterated on the first fight every single time.
Fight.
This is just about unplayable if you don't know exactly what you're doing. Which I played a lot of UMK3 as a teenager. Those skills didn't carry over, obviously.
Fight.
But compared to fighting games in literally any other franchise at the time,
Finish him.
right? Even compared to, like, I don't know, Battle Arena to Shinden, or compared to Street Fighter or Virtua Fighter or Tekken,
Fatality.
or any of the weird middle tier ones like Dark Legend, this is unplayable in single player. Right, I can just keep doing this over and over until I run out of credits. And yeah, this is, I guess, a arcade accurate representation of the sights and sounds of Mortal Kombat 2. You know, much to, I don't know, Joe Lieberman's dismay, I guess.
Fight.
But yeah, this is very easy, by the way.
Outstanding.
I'm unable to do basically anything here. Like, this is insane. So, that's it. I got nothing else here. Screw this. Entirely. Screw everything about this. But our lives don't get any better quite yet, because the next game to be released was World Cup Golf Professional Edition. Which is maybe the worst golf game I've seen so far. Oh hey, and the bots are here. Great. Okay. Let's do saving on the system. Why not? We have Arc Developments and US Gold to thank for this. I've already reviewed this game for the PlayStation, and this thing was originally released on 3DO in '94, before being ported to the other consoles in '96. And this is truly a bottom feeder of a video game. Like, this looks terrible. Everything about it looks terrible. It sounds bad. It doesn't sound great either. You know, what is this menu? Someone tell me what this menu is. I don't know. Let's just, I don't know, let's play golf. Sure, let's do World Cup golf, why not? This player select is weird. I don't know. You can go get the different rounds. You can't do anything here though. So, I guess I'll just be here. I don't know. There's no explanation of anything.
Hole 1, par 4, measuring 360 yards. A gentle dogleg right. The key shot is the drive, which should be kept left to ensure an open approach shot. The daring can cut the corner a little, but watch out for the lemon and lime trees.
And you might have noticed the big ol' Hyatt branding at the bottom. This game has one golf course, and that golf course is modeled after the Hyatt Dorado Beach golf course. Hold on, something going. Okay, here we go. So, one of the major issues here, other than it being ugly and sounding bad and being stupid and having a stupid face, is this aiming system. I despise this aiming system. So instead of like in other bad golf games like the T&E soft ones where you're rotating the player and you're doing the math of like the shot meter and the distance for the club you're using and just praying that goes somewhere, or like a reasonable system like in the PGA golf games, or I don't know, Mario Golf or NES Open, reasonable golf games. Here, you're moving this cursor around the screen from this behind the back view to aim where the ball is supposed to go. It gives you the information about where about the pixel you're pointing at here. But even just tapping the D-pad up and down will change the distance by, 100 or more yards. Because you're aiming on a two-dimensional view that is supposed to represent a three-dimensional space. So when you're aiming off into the distance, as you reach the horizon, each pixel is going to represent like a larger section of ground. And this whole thing is so ill-considered. It's truly abysmal. But yeah, at least we can see where the flag is. Flag's there. Right there. Right there. Flag is right there. Right there. You can always confirm where the flag is. In theory. There's a map. I am here. I can see what the distance is to various things. The fairway is 200 yards that direction. I don't know what direction that direction is. This isn't going to help me. This isn't going to like aim something on my view there. It's still, but it'll put the camera on that part of the map. Just cause. I can do that. That doesn't do anything though. Pressing other buttons with it doesn't do anything. It's that. So yeah, I can aim like this. Then I can take the shot. This is kind of a crummy shot meter. There's a chase cam from the tee, but it's a fixed camera, so it's not going to follow your ball. If your ball doesn't go where the camera goes, you're not going to see anything about it. And yeah, like the sound design barely exists. There's maybe like half a dozen announcer lines total. So where am I even? I'm here. I'm in the rough. Flag's here. 139 yards. I can look at the flag. There's the flag. I can look at the terrain a little bit with this. See how bumpy it is, but this is a truly abysmal way of doing that. I can see where the flag is. Flag's right there. It's right there. It's right there. Right there. You know, we can aim generally towards that. There's a wind here. I don't. Does it say how fast the wind is? I don't see how fast the wind is. So the hole is 132 yards. We're aiming 153 yards, or something like that. Okay, let's do this. And you select your club in the shot meter, which is a terrible place to do it. I cannot stress enough how bad of a place it is to do that. So let's do a 4-iron. Well, 5-iron because we're in the rough. I don't know. And let's just send it. So there's no chase camera here because it's not pre-programmed. And in the drink.
That one's got wet.
So I guess the wind's pretty strong. I guess. So I suppose we aim a bit off to the side there. Yeah, it doesn't really matter how well you do with the shot meter. You can just go fuck yourself, regardless.
That one's got wet.
So this light wind is actually pretty powerful. So let's just move all the way over there. Do we land on ground? Hey, we land on the ground. Oh, no, wait for it. Oh, there it goes.
That one's got wet.
It's really hard to tell what's even going on, right? Where the ball's going, what the ball's doing because of this camera. So let's just aim over here. Oh, look at that. We ended up close to the hole somehow. Most half-hearted golf clap sound in the world. So now we're here. Let's check where the flag is. It's right there. Right there. Doesn't even line up with the flagpole. Like, it's just off of the flagpole. This game is built on lies. And there's stuff about changing your footing and putting spin on the ball, but the basics don't work anyway, so why bother with the more advanced stuff? So what? We're 17 yards from the hole. I don't want to use the 5-iron. Let's use the wedge, I guess. But we want it at like a very low power, so let's do that. Does that get on the green? That rolls straight off the green. But we're closer, I guess. Oh, no, we're still on the green. It was really hard to tell if we were on the green or not. So, fun thing here. The green has terrain. You know, it has changes in elevation. Oh, hold on. Gotta check where we are. We're right here. Okay. Right, it has changes in elevation, and this is the only way to get any sense of that. There's no grid on here. Like, even like the T&E soft games have some kind of grid on the green to give you information. This gives you nothing whatsoever. So this is rolling this way, so we want to aim this way, I guess. This is probably the most unpleasant golf game I've ever seen in my life. So this is a bit tricky to figure out. Distance is 6 yards to the hole. Or wait, no, it's 22 feet to the hole. So our power meter there, I'm pretty sure, goes from 0 to 32. So between the two lines, that like the distance for the power there. So we want it around 2/3, I guess. And Oh, apparently the green wasn't downhill enough. So I did a bit too much. And I didn't really have any way to tell. Not really any way to tell. I'm like 2 feet away. So let's just do that. And there we go. Shot 11.
It's a disastrous hole.
It's a disastrous hole. This game sucks. I hate this game so much. I hate everything about it. Literally everything going on here I despise. So let's not dwell on that too much, or else I'm...
Hole 2, a par 5, 530 yards. A gradual curve right. After 2 woods, the key shot is an approach shot to a well-bunkered green. On this hole, the golfer can loosen up and at the same time, maybe catch a birdie.
This thing makes me yearn for Pebble Beach golf links, because at least that has Craig Stadler talking to you. This lacks any kind of value whatsoever. And as such, we are moving on. The second to last game of January 96 for the Saturn is this little number here called Darius Gaiden. And there is no escaping Acclaim, though this is a title game that was just ported by Acclaim to the Saturn. I can't read this fast enough. Yeah, did you catch any of that lore? I didn't. So, Darius Gaiden is the third mainline game in the Darius series. Originally released to arcades in 1994. I'm going to set this to easy because I don't do shoot 'em ups that well. You'll see what I mean. So this Darius game was put out. It's pretty quiet. Hold on. Alright. Oh, get out of the box. So this Darius game was put out to show off Taito's, I think, F3 arcade board, which was capable of, you know, polygonal graphics and CD quality audio, what have you. And yeah, it's Darius, right? Except for it's not super long. Because Darius is famous for needing 3 screens on its arcade cabinet, which is absurd and is very difficult to emulate, as you can imagine. Darius 2 only needed 2 screens, and in this game it is on 1 screen because it's reasonable. You know, I like the way this looks. I like the music. I like the sound design. Everything about the presentation is cool in my book. But it's also just incredibly hard at all times. Everything about this it is less than reasonable. You get 3 credits, or I guess 3 continues, essentially. You can't really change that part. You know, so even on an easy difficulty, I'm still not going to get very far. It's only the first level. And it's already less than reasonable. You know, this first boss looks neat. You know, it's a polygonal boss on a sprite-based game. It's kind of a stall. This reminds me of a stall, like in the Division. Hold on, I'm gonna clock here. Let me finish this and change the audio settings. Let me turn the game down a bit. Alright, turn the game down a bit. Also, because of Darius, we get to choose different paths through the game. So after each level, you get to choose a different level to go to. Which has been around since Darius 1. It's neat. Oh, did we do that? You know, it was unique at the time, and it still is kind of unique for horizontal shmups. And the main thing for me, looking at this is starting to feel like an early bullet hell game, almost. You know, there sure are a lot of bullets on screen, you know? There's a lot of stuff to dodge. Most of the gameplay is just dodging things. Alright, you just gotta thread these needles. Which I am bad at doing, which is why I don't play bullet hells. And the mid-90s is the time when shmups went from, you know, the old kind of Xevious standard to the more modern bullet hell standard. It's also the time when this genre became more niche as such. So I'm almost done here. I swear that I've made it to the third tier of levels before, even though that's probably not going to happen right here. I have made it to Zone E in the past. Just, it's not going to happen this time. Here's a fan favorite, King Fossil. Let's see if I can try to kill him with the bombs before he kills me with his everything. Oh, nope. Killed me with his everything. So yeah, this is somehow even less reasonable than something like In the Hunt. But it's on par with Taito's other Saturn shooter, Galactic Attack. And it's a real shame that I can't play this thing, because, again, I like the way it looks, I like the way it sounds. You know, it doesn't have any real deficiencies in the controls. It's just fucked up, is the problem. You know? It's it's inaccessible, let's say. Which is the way this genre is going to go from here to Ikaruga, probably. So yeah, we can just play this over and over and over and over again. Or not. I don't know. Alright, let's look at the options. You know, we can do the we can do the background test, which I guess is my favorite part of the game. Just listen to the OST here. It's weird, it's ethereal, it's kind of neat. You know, I'd rather just sit here and listen to this than actually play the game. Because this isn't the kind of game that I get better at with practice. This is the kind of game where I eat shit repeatedly until I pull the plug and go outside. which is not something that sells video games. Which is why this market receded in the 90s. Oh no, I'm talking trash about the genre. I don't like this genre. It's not my genre. I don't respect it. I respect what's going on visually and audibly in this game, but none of the gameplay. So this was well received at the time, moderately successful, did well enough to keep the Darius series going on into the future. And even though Taito kind of doesn't exist anymore, they're still putting out Darius collections every few years, so hey, that's something. And that takes us to our final game of the day, and our final game of January 96 for the Saturn. And that game is Hang On GP, also the third entry in a old, well-regarded series. And there are several differences between this game and the first two Hang-Ons. The first difference being that this thing was never in arcades. Yes, I'm playing it easy, you'll see why. So this was made for the Saturn. Just go straight into a Grand Prix race. And it's made for the Saturn because it's supposed to show off the political whatevers going on here. And, you know, there's a lot of bikes to choose from. This is nice. There's a lot going on here, so let's choose this last bike.
The circuit race course is set up on a small island.
There are only 3 environments with short and long racetracks. You can't play the long tracks until you do the short tracks.
Circuit race course. The circuit race course is set up on a small island.
It's up on a small island, by the way. So let's just try this one, the short route.
Albatross Cliff Reef.
So yeah, this was never released in arcades. It's polygonal. Yu Suzuki had nothing to do with this game. This was developed by our good friends at Genki. You know, Genki, the people that made... yep. So that gets us to... the reason why I don't like Hang-On games is the turning... I don't know how to play motorcycle racing games. The turning feels bad. Like, I don't get it. I don't feel any need to get it. I'm not going to get anywhere in this race because I've already bounced off the walls too much. You know, like 10th or 11th is going to be the highest I'm going to do. And sure, I guess. Yeah, I've like any Hang-On game, you know, Hang-On, Super Hang-On, this thing. Oh, I've never liked the way it feels to control. Like, this feels terrible, which is, I guess, inherent. But yeah, so Yu Suzuki had nothing to do with this thing. This is all Genki, our good friends who made the classic hits Kalik and Robotica, of all things. Though Genki would go on to be mainly a racing game developer after this. I think the Tokyo Highway Battle series. So I guess this is their true calling, such as it is. Just for the best, because their shooters aren't particularly great. So yeah, you do this a lot. There's three environments. You have to place in the top 3 in a race to unlock the long track for each environment. And I think if you win all the long races, you unlock like a special mode that's just more racing on the existing tracks. So there's not a lot of stuff here. And playing this is very annoying for me. I'm very annoyed by this game.
This is the final lap.
You know, maybe if I practice for a few hours, I could do this eventually.
Passing through the checkpoint.
I'm crashing way too much. So a kid in '96 could rent this game for a weekend, you know, play it for a few hours, figure it out, beat it. You know, I was 19 seconds off the leader. And that's a lot, you know, even with all my crashes.
Make an entry under your name.
Oh, so here's this part. You do a name entry, and then there's no leaderboard. There's no time. Well, I mean, other than what you saw there, but you can't go access those rankings anywhere. And then it spits you out to the title screen again, because I guess I failed. So, you know, graphically it's more stable than other racing games like Daytona USA or Cyber Speedway on the Saturn.
The circuit race, the intricate circuit race course, the circuit race, the intricate.
So let's go look at New Dwells, which is totally not New York City, even though that's the Statue of Liberty and Twin Towers right there. Yep, right there, the Twin Towers. That's how you know it's the 90s. You know, like this music's fine. You know, it's good music. The graphical stability is there, even though it's kind of muddy looking. The draw distance is usually fine,
Passing through the checkpoint.
but it's noticeable sometimes. And yeah, again, there's not a lot going on here. It's not even. It doesn't even have the excuse of being an arcade game. It was made this way on purpose.
Passing through the checkpoint.
And yeah, I don't have anything else to say about the game, other than just being bad at it while you watch.
Passing through the checkpoint. Passing through the checkpoint.
it shouldn't be surprising watching this that it didn't exactly set the world on fire when it came out. But it's not super derided either. It's just largely forgotten. Like Wing Arms, no one really remembers this game. No one really gave it the time of day when it came out. The world moved on pretty quickly from Hang On GP, and this is the last Hang On game. That was a good 29 seconds off the pace there, which, whoops.
Make an entry.
And maybe this game doesn't really earn being remembered, because it's not fun. It's not enjoyable at all. There isn't even a weird motorcycle peripheral to go with it to remember it by. And that's gonna do it for the Sega Saturn in January 1996. A month that would otherwise be not encouraging if it weren't for a couple of holdovers that didn't quite make a fall release from the previous year. Such as Wing Arms, such as Darius Gaiden, this even. But oh, believe me, things are going to get so much worse in February and March. And what I mean by that is there's going to be a lot of multi-platform games that shouldn't have been even on one system. And so, next week, we'll be back here same time, same place to look at the Saturn releases for February 1996. In the order of Street Fighter Alpha, Warrior's Dream, Siberia, The Horde, Clockwork Knight 2, Defcon 5, College Slam, and finally, Johnny Bazooka Toad. That's gonna be a hell of a time. So, see y'all back here, same time, same place.